For the Nature of Materials assignment, I was asked to design a form that reflects key ideas or concepts addressed in a building that I was individually assigned. The concepts or ideas I decided to use from the building I was assigned, the Seattle Public Library, were the issue of fixed versus flexible arrangements and the issue of fixed mindset versus growth mindset. The fixed versus flexible arrangement issue comes from the inability of older libraries to adapt and change over time. The concept of fixed versus growth mindset plays off of this in that the architect, Rem Koolhaas, desired to design a building geared toward growth and adaptability. Library floors used to not be able to change size to accommodate new materials, so the new Seattle Library was laid out to ensure new material and technology could be included without rupturing or disturbing the flow of older material. The materials I had to incorporate were wood, concrete, metal, and glass. Wood is cheap but not very suitable for large-scale design because it's weak in tension. Metals, on the other hand, are strong in both tension and compression, enabling them to be twisted and warped into sculptural designs while still remaining very strong against forces. Glass is fragile but can be heat-treated to increase significantly in strength, and its transparency or translucency gives it the ability to convey an idea using light. The final material I had to use, concrete, is very strong in compression, allowing it to support heavy gravitational loads, but the material itself is heavy as well. In my preliminary designs, my main decision came from deciding whether to separate the idea of fixed from the ideas of flexibility and growth into separate forms or to combine them into one form. For my initial small-scale model, I decided to separate them, with the fixed being represented by the steel X shape on the left and the flexible and growth form on the right made of aluminum and glass. I felt that the two were very disconnected from each other, so in my second design I connected them into one form and attempted to transition from fixed into flexibility and growth. Ultimately, I decided the idea of fixed thinking meant that development would not be able to occur, and therefore they needed to be separate entities with a shared foundation, which is how I organized my final design. My model represents how some aspects of fixed elements support flexibility and growth because they need a solid foundation to build from. My model also demonstrates how growth and flexibility combine and collaborate to allow for future progress. Starting at the bottom, it is important for growth and flexibility to still rely on a stable or fixed foundation. This is why both the fixed side and the progress side share the same foundation. This is represented by concrete, a very robust, heavy, solid material. It's long-lasting but never changes. The progress form, made up of growth and flexibility concepts, is separate from the fixed form because fixed and growth are different mindsets and have separate characteristics. A fixed element cannot grow or flex, and a flexible and growing element cannot be completely fixed. The progress element takes on the makeup of a tree because trees embody elements of flexibility and growth by not only growing tall, but also branching out, something my model mimics. Coming out of the concrete is a steel member because steel is a supportive material. It is also strong and resistant to change, but has some adaptability to allow for it to transition into more flexible materials. I used a thick branch covered in aluminum foil to represent the steel and thinner branches covered in aluminum foil to represent the even more malleable aluminum. The progress form is composed of the metal elements because metal can be shaped into irregular forms while still maintaining its structural integrity. I included glass, represented by the transparent plastic, on the tips of the branches to symbolize leaves or possible extensions of branches in the future. I felt that the idea of a future being certain yet also uncertain was best symbolized by using a transparent material because it's evident the glass is present, but depending on how one looks through the glass, it can be difficult to determine the exact shape and direction the glass takes on. I chose to not add glass to each offshoot of the branches because not every area will develop. The other form is the fixed form. It is composed of the concrete foundation and straight wooden members. The concrete is a cinder block covered in newsprint. I was able to use real wooden boards for the fixed form. I used wood to demonstrate a fixed mindset because wood is much less malleable than steel. Therefore, it's strongest when cut in regular dimensions. Wood can be carved intricately, but for large-scale projects this is costly and the wood significantly loses strength. I have the tall post in the concrete to symbolize the immobility of the fixed concept. The branches that extend off the post are straight out, reflecting how the floors in traditional libraries are set. There is no possibility for interaction or connection between these branches, similar to how there was no connection between floors in traditional libraries, so limited space was available for material, and related content was sometimes unable to be situated within reasonable proximity to each other. Going back to the progress form, the malleability of the aluminum enables those branches to bend such that lower and higher branches may interact to adapt to change. Overall, I designed a form that addresses the issues of fixedness versus flexibility and fixed mindset versus growth mindset, issues that were addressed in the Seattle Public Library in Seattle, Washington. Throughout this project, I gained a deeper understanding of the materials wood, concrete, glass, and metal and how they may be used individually and together to convey an idea or concept.